Hey, what's up? Today I want to share with you some of my biggest struggles living in the US as an international student and also like post-graduation now as an immigrant living here with my family. There are a couple of struggles I just want to share with you and hope you can learn from and maybe avoid some of my mistakes. So yeah, let's jump right into it. Okay, so let me give a bit of background for my newbies here, those that are not familiar with like my journey and don't know like where I'm coming from. But if you've been here since like 2020, you probably saw me like when I was in school, maybe wrapping up my school program, and also saw me through like graduation and work, and now I'm here. Anyway, so let me give a bit of background. I moved to the US 5+ years ago, a little over 5 years ago, for my MBA program. I did my MBA at Yale and I graduated in 2020. So that's 3 years ago, which is crazy and unbelievable. So I graduated in 2020 and I came here as an F1 student. So basically an international student on the popular F1 visa. And since then I have worked in about 3 main companies, all companies that praise the Lord. I'm grateful. Yeah, I've worked, I have since then graduated and then worked at 3 different companies so far. And yeah, and now I am married here. I got married here and I have a baby girl. So I have my family here. So that's it. And one more thing, yes, I have lived on both the West Coast and the East Coast in the United States. Basically, if you don't know much about the US has 2 main coasts, what they call West Coast and East Coast. East Coast is like New York is an example of a state on the East Coast, and California is an example of a state on the West Coast. So I've lived across both. So today I'll just share a bit of like my experience, first as an international student and also as now an immigrant living here with my family. So let's jump into it. Let me share a bit of my struggles. So first one is loneliness. And this one, even as like this one is relevant even for when I was an international student, and also now that like I'm an immigrant here living with my family. Loneliness is one thing that I've really dealt with since I came here. So first is I am an introvert. I think so. Okay, people keep arguing with me every day that I'm more extroverted now, but no, I am an introvert. Okay, I remain an introvert. I've always been an introvert, even since I've known myself, basically. But the difference between when I was living in Lagos, Nigeria, and like living in the US is, even as an introvert in Nigeria, that's what we call Nigeria for those that are not familiar with that or know that. When I was living in Nigeria, even as an introvert, relationships are more organic. Like if you're in class with someone, if you go to the same church, you almost become friends, right? And things just flow, like you become friends with them. And so I had many friends in Lagos when I was living there. But here in the US, you have to be extremely deliberate to make friends. You can't just go for an event. In Lagos, you go for an event, from the event you talk to someone, whether a guy or a girl, and before you know, you guys are friends. You exchange numbers, and you know how it goes. But here, you're not friends. Even that conversation you had in class or in church doesn't really make you like friends. You have to be deliberate about wanting to be somebody's friend and putting in the effort and all of that. Also, I read that loneliness has been declared an epidemic in the US. Like, it's a major thing. Many people are lonely because this place is very individualistic. Is that the word? People are more like on their own here versus a country like Nigeria is very communal. This place is not very communal. It's very individual based. Like, you may live in a house for 5 years and not know what your neighbor looks like. That is real here. And so that loneliness is something that I have dealt with. Like, since I moved here, I felt a lot of loneliness. Now, that loneliness I felt when I came here as an international student was nothing compared to what I felt when I had my baby. I don't know where that loneliness came from, mixed with depression and everything, but Whew, that time was crazy in my life, Lord. When I had my baby, end of like tail end of 2021, I had my baby Nachi, and that the loneliness I felt then, I can't explain it. It was crazy. Like, I would always tell my husband about how I want to move out of this state, I want to go somewhere else because I'm really struggling with making friends. But that I have to say that that is also something I've heard many moms experience, whether they're even living in their home country or not. But this one was next level. Next level. I was already feeling a lot of loneliness when I was a student, when I graduated and all of that, because I also graduated in the pandemic, so maybe that contributed to it. But you see, when I had that baby, the loneliness was like next level. So that's one thing I've struggled with, and I know a lot of people that move here from like countries that are more communal have experienced. I was part of a conversation a couple of days ago, and this person was talking about when he moved to the UK and how he was very lonely. But anyway, the point is, set your expectations right. And I also want people to really talk about some of these experiences living abroad and things you're not prepared for, from your home country, like the extreme loneliness you face here sometimes, especially if you're going to school in a place where there aren't many people from your home country, where there aren't many Africans, or you're going to school or working in places where there aren't people that understand how to be communal. It's really a struggle. So that's just one thing I have struggled with. But your girl is doing better now. I'm making friends now, but it's still not the same. So that's the first thing. Oh, another thing that I've struggled with here is taxes. Like, why is everything taxed and nobody tells you the tax until after you've gotten that thing? So let me explain. When I was growing up as a Nigerian living in Nigeria, I'm used to, like, if I'm going to buy something now, I'm going to pay 15 naira. That thing, the tax is already calculated. Whatever price, it's post-tax, right? In the US of A, whatever price tag you see, it is pre-tax. So when I first came here, I was like, whoa, what is going on here? Like, I thought you said this shoe was $30. Why are you asking me to pay for the $45 or $40? And then they tell you, oh, yeah, I added taxes. I'm like, oh, wow, that's a thing. So everything, when they tell you, like when you see any prices, it is before tax. And for me, like even now, I'm still not fully used to it, because it's just like, and I live in Washington State, where the sales tax is around 10%, 10.1, 10.2%, whatever. So when I order anything on Amazon, just add an additional 10% to that. So if you buy a phone, think about what the tax will be on that. If you buy a car, think about what the tax is on that. So yeah, that's something that I've really struggled with here, especially, let's get into this one, especially when you think about like your salary. Back home, they tell you your salary, that's what you're taking home. Here, it's whatever your salary is. And when you see people online say things like, I earn 6 figures, and I'm not saying they don't earn 6 figures, do your research and verify. But that $100,000 they earn is before tax. And if you live in a state like New York, where you pay federal, state, and maybe the local taxes, when my first job post MBA was in New York, it's crazy. Sometimes you're taking home 55% of your actual income. And for me, that's something I'm still not used to. But of course, I'm a lot more comfortable with like thinking about taxes now than I was when I first came. So that has been one struggle. Not really a struggle, but like, yeah, that has been a struggle actually, since I've moved here. So another struggle is with, I'll say accent struggle. And for me, you're not going to pressure me into speaking like you. Of course, with time, I've lived here for 5+ years. With time, you find your accent changing, just the same way. If you're American and you live in Lagos for even 1 year, Lagos will transform your accent and the way you behave. But here, one struggle is with accents, like even till now, and I feel like I speak good English, okay? I speak English, but like here, I don't know, sometimes I feel like it's arrogance, like people almost like if you have a different accent. First, people here don't realize there's something called American accent. They also have an accent, but they don't think about what they are speaking as, having an accent. They just believe other people that sound different are the ones that have an accent. I'm just like, y'all are crazy. But that's not the point. The point I'm making here is one thing I've struggled with is when you sound different, like you have a different accent, people, all, especially when I first came here, it's like they're always saying, what, pardon? Like, can you say that again? Can you say that again? And I found that thing really disturbing. Like, don't you know I'm putting in some work to actually hear you too, because you have an American accent. You should put in some work to hear what I'm saying today. Can you say that again? You mean this? And that really, really, really just always got on my nerves. And that still happens till now. But I don't care. I'll speak with whatever accent I have now. And of course, my accent is always changing. Because like the more you live in a place, it's totally normal. If I were living in the UK, I'll sound like people that live there, even though I wasn't born or raised there. But that was something I struggled with. First in school, it used to make me very uncomfortable when I first came here to school, because like the whole class, like I want to contribute, I want to say something about the topic we're discussing. But when I think about all the reactions, almost like the professor can't hear me or can't understand what I'm saying, and they just pass. Like, it used to really bother me, and so I ended up not saying much when I was in school, because I'm just like, I'm not dealing with you people today. I'm not about to repeat what I'm saying 5 times. So that was a struggle then, but I don't really care. I'm not going to like change my accent because of you. I can repeat things a couple of times, but I need you to acknowledge that you also have an accent, and I'm putting in work to hear what you're saying. So yeah, that was another thing. Yeah, I hope you liked today's video. Give it a thumbs up if you enjoyed it, and also share your experience below if you have been living abroad as well, and subscribe to this channel, and I'll see you in my next video.